guys for joining me. Episode 35 today is another edition of Conversations with Amber, which is a monthly sub-special that I'm doing here on the podcast where I kind of just chat with you guys for a little while, tell you what's up, tell you what's going on with my life, and we'll cover all kinds of different topics on here. This is more my opinions on things. So if that's interesting to you, keep listening. If you're here more for specific health advice for health conditions, you can find many other lovely podcasts on that topic, but this may not be your cup of tea. All right, so I'm recording this on January 23rd, 2021. You guys are seeing me post-workout here. Got a terrible haircut, which I hate. So, we're making it work. Hair grows fast. I'm trying to come to terms with it. Have you guys ever had just like an awful haircut? You go and get one. And so here's the thing. Let me tell you the story of the haircut. Because I know you can all relate, right? I was having a bad day. You guys who follow me on Instagram know that lately it's been a little tough for me. I've been a little overwhelmed and a lot on my plate and different stuff like that. And so sometimes when I get overwhelmed, I just feel like I gotta just like break out and do something. So I was having a bad day and decided to break out and go get my hair cut like a crazy person. Note to self and note to all of you, do not go get your hair cut on a day that you are having a bad day. Because if nothing's going right that day, I can freaking guarantee you that a haircut is not gonna go your way. So, despite that inner knowing, I did it anyway because I was like, something has to happen, So I booked in a haircut at a place that I don't go very often. I wanted to go back to this lady that I usually see, but she doesn't work there anymore. Anyway, we're not going to name names. But I went in with somebody who I've never gone in with before, and my hair was like slightly below shoulder length, and this lovely woman took my request to have it trimmed about an inch and cut it all the way to my chin. So not that I can't like rock short hair. I mean, I've had short hair throughout my life, but she did this other thing with it where she thinned it out, and so it's like really thin now, and it's like really short and weird, and it just like doesn't look good to me. Like, it's just not what I want. So alas, I had the cutest haircut for a little while, but it is gone, and now I just have to wait for it to grow again. So here I am. But we've all been there, right? On that note, I think it's important to tell you a few exciting things. For those of you who know how difficult the last few years have been for me, you may be feeling a bit of sympathy that I am in this kind of place where I'm at right now, where I'm just really overwhelmed with a lot of responsibilities. Great responsibilities, fun responsibilities. I mean, I'm a mom that I've always wanted to be a mom, and now I'm a mom, and that's exciting. I have this wonderful business that I put my heart and soul into. That's my other baby, and my other baby is doing well, growing up, and I'm proud of both my babies. Speaking of one of my babies, Calvin, he took his first steps last night. Now, everybody say a little happy prayer for Calvin, because he took his steps. He's a big boy. Anyway, so my two babies are doing good. But when my one baby, my business baby, does well, what it means is that I get offered a lot of opportunities, and it can be hard for me to figure out what the best direction is to go in, what to say no to, what to say yes to. But in January, especially after a hard year like 2020, I do get a lot of interest in working with me in January. A lot of old clients coming back, a lot of new people interested in becoming clients, and especially now that I've specialized and people kind of know what I'm good at, I'm starting to get a lot of interest from people in my specialty, and so it's even hard to narrow it down that way. So in January, I think I kind of took on a little bit more than maybe I should. But I mean, those of you who are in business for yourself, or those of you who, are trying to make it financially, know that this has been a really hard year. And so it's like, if there's an opportunity to have a better financial standing at the same time that you're doing something you love, like, it's hard for me to say no to that, So anyway, I bit off a little bit more than I could chew this January. Started getting a little burnt out, but I'm feeling better, and I'll tell you why. Because a couple of cool new things are happening. First of all, I finally hired somebody to help me in my life. So I've been saying for the longest time that I need a team. Like, Mama can't do it all. I can't be all things to all people, I can't do everything for everyone. Like, I don't like to sound like my life is like harder than everybody else's, because look, I get it. Like, I'm self-employed, and there's a lot of freedom that comes with that. And there's a lot of, I've done both. Like, I've worked full-time in an office, and I've also worked for myself. I grew up with parents who were self-employed. So I've always sort of seen people running their own business in my life. And that definitely has more attraction to me, because I like being able to manipulate my own schedule how I want and change with the seasons and all that kind of stuff. I like to be intuitive about it that way. And I don't like to sound like I'm ungrateful for that opportunity, because I know it can sound whiny, and I'm trying not to sound whiny. But, those of you who are moms and who work, that it's just like, it can be a lot sometimes to do everything yourself, So even moms who stay home, like, it's a lot of responsibility. Just that having the kid, like, that's a full-time job, and then all the rest of it, the house stuff, the business stuff, whatever. So I know I'm in a fortunate position, and many other women work harder than me in life. So I'm not trying to take away from y'all, but guys, I am tired. Like, I cannot. There's just only so many hours in a day, and so this year, my business coach and we've been talking about what's the focus going to be for this year. Like, what's the why for this year, right? That's something I talked about, I think, in episode 32 maybe. So, like, setting realistic goals and what's your why. I mean, I'm doing that work too. I'm trying to find my vision, and my vision for this year is really to expand the free content that I put out there, the educational content that I put out there, to expand the amount of people that I can help virtually, because the one-to-one consultations is what I love. It's it's where my heart goes, but it also can't be the only thing that I do forever, because in order to stay sharp and in order to do it right, I have to limit how many people I work with. And so there's a way, though, that I can give out information that'll help other people on a broader level, through, social media, through podcasting, through whatever it may be, videos and things like that. There's a way that I can help people on a more aggregate level. And so that's the goal this year, is to kind of start working towards that, so that we can get to a place eventually in the next couple of years, maybe where there's a little bit more financial freedom. So there's a little bit more ability to kind of be more selective about, about what projects I take on, what projects I don't take on, and all that stuff. So with that said, like, it's been a busy year so far on that front. Like, I'm trying to put my focus on all that, keeping up with podcasting and all these other kind of putting me out there things, while at the same time running, a full-time practice and being a full-time mom. And I'm doing the practice from home. My son's not in daycare. You guys know this. Like, I stay home with him full-time right now because of the pandemic and everything. So we've got, my life is divided into these crazy chunks where, like, during nap times I work, and when he's awake, I'm with him. And then, it's just like, I'm all over the place. So it was getting really, really crazy, and I just couldn't do it all anymore. So I had a little emotional breakdown, It happens. I believe that was the day I cut my hair. So anyway, I have been having trouble. I have been meaning to and wanting to for a little while now to hire somebody to help me. And I didn't quite know what I was looking for. So on the one hand, I was like, well, should I hire like a maid or like, like a housekeeper, because like that stuff is just like, who has time for that? Like to do the dishes and to like vacuum and, keep the toys picked up and everything. Like with everything I've got going on, I'll be honest, my house is like a wreck a lot of the time. So I'm like, well, maybe it would help me to have somebody do that. Because I'm trying to think of tasks that, like, obviously I don't like doing, right? Like if I'm going to pay somebody to help me, like I'd rather farm out stuff that I really don't like doing. Because it's already hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of, number one, paying somebody else. Like I've been a one-woman show for so long that like it's scary to give up some of the control and to know if like the business can handle another person. The last thing I would ever want is to hire somebody and not be able to keep them on, and not be able to like get them their hours, because then they depend on me. So it's like it's kind of a scary jump, right? So I thought, well, maybe we'll get like a housekeeper, okay, or maybe we'll pay for like some sort of like cooking service, or I'm just like trying to think of different things that would help me. And the stuff that I don't like doing is all the like back end paperworky stuff for the business, right? Like making shipping labels. I can't even tell you how much I hate making shipping labels. It's so mind numbing. And I have been shipping everything with the pandemic. So I'm making a lot of shipping labels, guys. And it's funny because I've always been in careers where I've had to do shipping labels. Like, you guys probably don't know this. I don't think I've ever said this before, but when I was in college, I had this Etsy shop where I would like knit and crochet baby things for newborn photographers. That was really popular at the time. It was like a huge trend for the babies to have their little pictures with the little hats. And so I was super popular, and I was on Etsy before the market got really saturated. So it was crazy. Like I paid for our whole honeymoon with knitting. Like, I could have made like a real thing out of it, but it was a lot of work though. And there was a ton of going to the post office, which just was the worst. So here I am again, going to the post office all the time, and I hate doing that. And so that I don't like answering. I don't like answering email. This is all stuff that it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also not stuff that I have to do. Like somebody else could easily do it, for me. So I tried out a few housekeepers, and, I realized that because I've never really had a housekeeper, that I don't really know what housekeepers do. So I was mistaken on what they do, and what I needed is not really what they do. Like, I don't really need somebody to come in here and mop every week. That's nice, but it's not what I need. Like, what I need is somebody to organize my house, because it's like baby toy central. So, anyway, this long spoiled sounding diatribe is all to tell you that I finally did find somebody who can kind of meet the best of both worlds. She's a personal assistant and home organizer. Is that not exactly what I need? It's exactly what I need. I know all of you need it too. So, I have her name for those of you. She does take on other clients. So, so what she's going to help me with on the business side is she's going to help me with answering certain types of emails. She's going to help me with supplements and getting supplements shipped out and stuff like that. And then she's also going to help me get my home organized, decluttered. We're going to Marie Kondo it. We're going to make it nice. Ever since we moved in here, what was it, 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago? I never did organize things the way that I wanted to, I just was kind of I'll get to it. I just want to get everything moved in, and then I never did it. So there's a lot of places where it could be so much more efficient, and that's really exciting to me, because to me, I can't think well if my home is cluttered and messy. So it's really important for the balance of my mental health and my ability to think and my ability to write, that my house is in order. So I'm excited. She had her first day on Thursday. She's great. So I'm thrilled. And so that's exciting thing number one. So I can already tell I feel already more buoyant and happy than I have felt in a while. Just because I know that that's one thing that's off my plate now. or a couple of things that are off my plate now. Like I don't have to worry about them. And that's awesome. So, very thankful to be in a place where like we can actually make that happen. So those of you who are clients, you might, if you're emailing me, you may be interacting with my new personal assistant. Her name's Danielle. So if you see an email from Danielle, that's what's going on. Don't be alarmed. She is my savior, so she's here to help. But she's been thoroughly trained, guys, and she's great. So let's see. Other exciting things. So yes, did I just say that I take on too much? I'm about to take on another project, but this goes with my goal of getting more fun stuff out there into the world. So I have a good friend. She's been a guest on the podcast. She was a guest on episode 33. Her name's Jen Angela, and we did a podcast on healthy boundaries, relationships, things like that. She is a mental health therapist, a yoga teacher. She is like a relationship counselor. So she's all about mindset and mind-body connection and things like that. And she's this really open, honest, like interesting person who's fun to listen to. She's got really, I like her perspective on a lot of things. Like her and I really mesh well. So we had this fun podcast and we've been talking for a while, and we finally did this podcast together. And then I was a guest on her podcast. We recorded yesterday. So that'll be up soon, I'm sure. And I'll link it to you guys. But we just have this great sort of chemistry together. And our mutual friend, Renee, who's also my business coach, is the one who set us up. She's got a ton of connections with people. And she's like, I think you two would get along. So what do you know? We do. But we have been in talks for a little bit now about combining forces on a mutual project. And that mutual project is taking shape now. And what it looks like is a new podcast that I will be part of. Amber a Day will still be like, I'll still be doing an Amber a Day. That's my baby. But this is kind of a side project for me. And it's called Advice We Need. And it is a relationship, question answering, health podcast. So what we're going to do is take real questions from listeners, from women, on their relationship problems, their like if there are any like sex life issues, health issues, like issues within the marriage or within friendships regarding health, because sometimes like it can be tough if you're trying to make changes and then like somebody that you live with is not on board, things like that, all the intersections of those things, health topics, but it's going to be a lot of like your real deep questions that you have about things, and then we're gonna give you advice. So it's an advice show, but we're just gonna kind of talk about these different topics from our perspective, and each of us has our own perspective on how to tackle difficult situations in relationships. So this is something that I'm really excited about because I have always wanted to be part of a like question answer style kind of like advice podcast. Like I used to think like the most fun thing in the world would be to write an advice column for like a newspaper or something. So, and those who are close to me, like my friends and family, know that I'm like, I'll give you advice, My husband calls it being trued. He says I'm true. I tell the truth, but it's rude. So I'm known for putting my foot in my mouth a little bit with like my close people, and just sort of like telling it like it is. That I really think that's important. Like honesty to me is the most important thing, and just being real. And so much of like everything now is so like tiptoey, like it bugs me, it bugs me how we're always tiptoeing around issues, how we're like never calling things out, how, and so that's what this podcast is going to be about, us like calling stuff out, us telling it like it is, like us telling it how we see it. So it'll be juicy. So if you guys like juicy stuff, that's kind of what that's what we're going for. Like no questions off limits. We'll talk about anything, like, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of laughs. We want it to be like chatty. We want it to be, communicative. We want it to be open. We want it to be community oriented, and we want it to be about women and women's needs and women's issues. And, you know, if you're a man who has a question about women in your life, hey, we'll take it too. So, so by the time that this Conversations with Amber gets published, that Instagram page should be live, so you guys can go and follow that if that's something you're interested in. It's called Advice We Need, and I'll link to it in the show notes here. It'll be a visual and audio podcast, so there will be a YouTube channel for it. There will be the actual podcast format, which I'm sure will be available on all the different platforms and everything. But if you, I did want to remind you, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you guys would help me a ton if you would leave me a 5-star review. So, you know, I guess I can't tell you exactly to leave me a 5-star review, but leave me a review for the podcast if you guys are listeners. That really helps a lot with my podcast being seen by people. And that's the goal, right? I mean, I don't just sit here and talk to myself, although to be fair, like I would do it anyway, just to talk to myself because it's kind of therapeutic. But I do it to hopefully like engage with all of you. And that's one reason why I love when you guys reach out with questions for the podcast and you have things that, you know, you want me to answer for your health. So with that said, like if you're a listener here and there's things that you think would be great for the Advice We Need show that, you know, are more relationship oriented or more health oriented, send them to me, like anamberadaypodcast@gmail.com. You can email me there. You can DM me on Instagram, like wherever you want to get in touch with me, I'm available. And I will incorporate these things into future podcasts, whether it belongs here, or whether it belongs over there. So, but I'm really excited about it. For a long time, I have wanted to branch out from just doing nutrition stuff to doing, nutrition meets life stuff, because really as a person, like I have a lot more to offer than just like, here's what you eat, you know. And those who work with me kind of know that like it's a full mind body experience, right? We're in all the things. And of course I'm not a counselor by any means, but I do have skills in the intersection of those departments. So I'm excited to share more, and it'll be a little less you know, by the book and educational, as this podcast is a very educational podcast. So it'll be fun, something different. So I'm excited about that. I believe our first episodes are going to launch in March. So there's still a little bit of time where we're going to getting things together and we're going to, you know, build up to a premiere. So do me a favor. And if you are interested in it, please go like the page on Instagram, follow the page on Instagram. And yeah, it's exciting. So those are the things that are going on. You know, other than that, there's a lot of same old same. Like Gabby and I have been filming a lot for Eat With Us. Do I have too many side projects going on, guys? Eat With Us, which is our show where we go to restaurants in San Antonio and kind of show you how to eat healthy off the menu at these places. And that's really fun too. We're really enjoying that. Getting to go to all these like local businesses and meet all the business owners. It's been hard for them this past year, you know, because people, and rightly so, are afraid to eat out in public. And so, you know, but a lot of these places have protocols in place to either keep it as safe as possible, or they have like alternatives so that you don't have to actually go inside. So when Gabby and I go and film, we sort of make it look like we're kind of in the dining area with like other people. So it, you know, so it looks more like we're actually like at a normal restaurant. But in a lot of cases, we are kind of off to the side or in a private room or something away from everybody else. So that mostly for the microphones, like so we're not picking up on too much background noise, because that can be very distracting. But so, and I can tell you that a lot of these restaurants, like, you know, there's hardly anybody in there because of everything that's going on. So there are ways to eat healthy wherever you are, and you know, support local, right? I do believe in cooking at home whenever you can, but I think it's important to like support local businesses, especially they're trying to give us some healthy options, guys. So if we keep demanding healthy options, there will be more healthy options in the future. It's kind of similar to like if you have seen the way that grocery stores have changed over the years. Like when I first got into nutrition, you couldn't even hardly find gluten-free stuff at the grocery store. It was like you had to order stuff online. It was this complicated process. It was really frustrating. And now, you go in and you can find like cassava flour wraps, like at the regular grocery store. And you're like, what? There's all kinds of options available now that didn't exist back then. It's the same thing with restaurants. Like restaurants, they cook the food that people eat. So of course, most restaurants have a little healthy menu for people who are, following other people and are on a diet or whatever. But, if we keep asking for things and we keep requesting certain things, like they will kind of get the hint and start offering more things like that. So anyway, that's what that's all about. So we've been doing a lot of filming for that. We've got some other ones on the docket. So we've filmed already at a bar, and this was a while ago that we filmed at the bar, but that one's coming up. We've got another barbecue episode at some point. We are filming a girls' night in for, if you get together with a couple of your girlfriends for a little socially distanced rom-com hang. So we are doing that. And then we've got some of San Antonio's better healthy restaurants coming up too, which is really exciting. Time for Lunch San Antonio, one of my favorite places. We're getting to film there very soon, which is exciting. And we've got Full Belly SA, which is like a really cool like almost, I don't want to say experimental kitchen, but it's like it's a chef, and he kind of like makes things based on the day and the seasons and everything. So we're excited about that. And then some others that we're getting set up and everything. So we've got lots coming down the pipeline for you guys. And I just want to like take a second and say how thankful I am for all of you who have stuck with me through all of this, especially my loyal podcast listeners, like you guys who picked back up listening to me after I stopped podcasting for like a year or 2 years. I don't know how long it was. It was a long time. So thank you. It means a lot to me that there are people out there who actually listen to me talk. I know I've said that before, but like it really does mean a lot to me. So thanks for listening, and thanks for reviewing, and thanks for asking your questions. Everything that you guys do to interact with me and interact with the podcast helps me to figure out how to make it better. And one of my big goals for 2021 is really to make the podcast better. Like I want to have more structure to the educational episodes. I want to have more, references to real research studies that you guys can look up. I want to just there's a lot that I want to do. I want to do series on different issues. So I've got a lot in the pipeline and a lot in the works. Particularly if you're in the infertility space, like a lot's coming up with that. So it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. And we're just taking it one day at a time and trying not to overwhelm ourselves. Right, guys? So with all of that said, that is all I have for you today on Conversations with Amber. So thank you all for listening to me and for everything. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Amber Fisher Nutritionist and all that jazz. And I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a really, really good week, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.